So Anila here for you. First of all, lovely to be here and thank you so much for joining this session. I'm very pleased to see the youngsters, the youth, interested in getting to know, trying to find out, taking interest in global citizenship. I'm sure it means differently to all of you, but I'll give you my perspective, and I hope that I can leave today by enabling some of you and inspiring some of you to follow your dreams and perhaps to break out of multiple barriers that are out in the society. And to me, the global citizenship and the concept of being a global citizen is very different in terms of perspective. So I feel that in this world and in this lifetime, we particularly, sometimes have geolocations that we identify ourselves with. But end of the day, we all are here for a certain period of time. And I think we're all co-connected and also connected to our space and our rights. Our future is a core responsibility for youth to come and the people who are already, there striving and thriving them. So I'm going to talk about particularly how you can identify your rights and roles and enable yourself to achieve more than your degrees and perhaps enable your life to go forward. So something to give you to begin with will be my own story. So like your teacher just mentioned you that I had been an entrepreneur for quite some time, over 2 decades now. I'm a global entrepreneur. I do global business consulting. On the side, I have I am a social activist, but I work around education, youth, health, and I chose to do that initially as my CSR, which is my corporate social responsibility, because in my business, I optimize companies, I take them global, I optimize the revenue, profit, joint ventures. So I've worked in almost 28 countries, taking more than 4,000 brands across the world, helping them out to, their voices to be heard and them to identify the value propositions. And I'll relate to why I'm saying this, but then having done all these accomplishment and being recognized, I also saw the need of delivering back to the community. And that's where I started off with pressing on, having to know the importance of your life and the importance of the moments and how you can make the most out of the moment. So I also here started some wellness coaching, enabling people, multiple initiatives, again, across multiple subjects. And I also recently got into politics, and that's an interesting journey. Because for a very long time, I had been seeing the world from behind the screen. And I see a lot of people who love sitting across the screen and then chatting and commenting or criticizing rather on certain subjects. But that's an easier way. I think the harder way is to step forward, recognize your own responsibility, and stand up for the right reasons to deliver the right subject. So I was inspired since I was doing my CSR to just, instead of serving just a few hundred in a year, to serve a few thousands in a year by coming forward in politics. And I got elected as local councillor in Woking Borough just recently. So currently I'm heading the Economic Development Task Group within the Woking Borough and multiple other subjects. I mean, economic development is being one of my favorite, and human development being another favorite. So that's a bit about me. And, the few things to note about my story is that I am privileged because I was supported all along, or I would say the universe corresponded to my dreams. But I had to move forward. I had to step forward, stand up for the reasons that I thought are meaningful to me. And there were times I faced resistance. There were times when I was in a situation where I won't even know the roadmap to get to a certain point. And why I'm putting it forward here today is because you are students, you are going to emerge in your practical lives pretty soon. And you will also find at many corners, you might see a dark road, you don't know where to go from here, how to pursue what you're trying to do. But believe me, if you're committed enough and you seek enough, you will find way, and then you will find the support eventually that you need. Right? I hope that makes sense. So far, so good? Okay. So why the youth needs to recognize the importance of getting involved and moving forward and recognize certain practices that are out in the society currently. So as a global citizen, we feel that we're united, but there are certain boundaries. There are practices that had been going on for over 100 years. But in the age of AI, in this modern age where everything has just become so easy and simple, the previous rule in the governance, in the policy side, on some of the practical aspects, also youngsters' right, has been compromised because the things are not innovated over a long period of time. So I see that there is a need to reinvent the wheel. And that was one of my main reasons, once again, to get into politics, because I did not agree to many things that are happening in the world right now, and they can be done differently. And if we just sit on, minding our own business, and if we sit on just understanding and I would say complying to the existing practices, that makes you a wonderful citizen, but it also makes you a slave mentally, that you're dictated to just continue to follow and drop your life within the barriers which are given to you currently. So I have a strong desire to evoke this emotion within humanity, be it youngsters, old people, established people, struggling people, to know that there is more to life than how we see it. And there is a need to reinvent the wheel at multiple levels. When I say that, it means that currently there are policies that are serving the system. There are systems that are serving themselves. And they're so tightly bounded that there's hardly a space to maneuver. So we'll expand on this when we move forward, because I'll give you some practical examples of where these changes are needed. And I was so pleased to see some of you when you raised hands, the ones who are doing podcasts, because again, those are the mediums for you to be seen, to be heard, to talk to each other, to find out, what you think is missing, and to come forward with that and share it with the rest of the world. So the current system needs to be reinvented, and there is a need for innovation. And I came to this conclusion seeing my business practices over 2 decades, because when you touch a stagnant existing business, we have a great opportunity to play with modern technology, modern practices, some of the marketing that you see today, communication, procedures. But when it comes to government bodies, let's say people who define your living space, it is still very tight, and I feel that needs to be reinvented, especially for you guys, because we will leave this world for you and for the next generation to come. And I feel strongly that we all have to work together to make sure that we address the issues that are important in today's age. So what's my main point is there is a gap between authorities and the communities, which means that people who rule you, who write the policies, who define your limits, they are at a very prestigious position. And ideally, right now, they tackle the general crowd, which I call the community, from a distance. So sometimes we see in politics, people go forward around election times, they get to meet their community, but then even if that trail is understood, we hardly see it incorporated in a long-term vision. And the changes that are happening in the world are not at the same pace as innovation. And I feel the need to bridge this gap by removing the prestige of being the authority. I think humans are all equally valuable. Every profession is valuable. I mean, you cannot live without your hairdresser, right? Can you live without doing your laundry? Can you live with, so if a doctor is important, if an engineer is important, and so is everybody else. But then we have to stop looking at the world with the lens of discrimination. And I do understand that most of you, like youth today, they understand this. But previously, this wasn't very welcomed. So that's, when I say the gap, that's exactly what I mean. And just because it is happening, the movement is happening, but it's just so slow that, like I said, every life is precious. So if we just compromise on certain decisions that should have been made earlier, there are people that won't be there with us. So imagine an old man who's got 10 years remaining or 5 years remaining in their life, and nobody knows how long someone lives. But then if we just keep delaying, then we are basically compromising the experience of other people. And as the co-citizens of this world, as the global citizen, I think we care, if we care, and which I believe the youth very well does, because I see that responsibility and that ingredient in our youngsters today. So we have to speed this up to bridge the time gap, because I think the opportunity cost is greater than other things. And people today, until today, and I won't say everyone, but most of them, they step into politics for vested reasons. And when they come to become the authority, their focus is elsewhere. And this is where we need more, I would say, qualified, energetic people with good intentions to come forward, right? And I'm going to give you the recipe for this just in a little bit. So you might find there is another person waiting inside you to be revealed, because maybe you never recognize or, looked at with acknowledgement of that knowledge that was present within you. So what can be your roadmap if you were to support? So since we spoke before the session, you all come from the diversified educational background, and you're doing and studying and learning the great things. But at the same time, when your degrees are finished, you will be out in the world, and you will get to see, when you come to an application to apply for a job or go for a job interview, perhaps start your own business, apply for a housing application. There can be multiple scenarios when you will meet the real world. I'm sure some of you must have assisted your parents to do that. But you can imagine the burnout, the amount of work that is required in today's date to legally conduct these things. And the processes are very lengthy and they are not supportive. But I feel that we should narrow them down and make the lives of the people easier, so they can spend time enjoying their life. They can find things easily. And some of the facts that I particularly wanted to talk about is we always learn, and we learn from our childhood, that's subconscious learning, from your surrounding, from your parents, families, friends, any and everybody that you met until today has some role to play in your learning, particularly the most frequent 5 people that you spend time with. They change from time to time, but they really rub on you in terms of learning. And when I say that, I mean that you pick on their beliefs, you pick on their logics, you pick on the practices. So let's say I went somewhere and faced a certain problem, and I came back and I discussed that with you. So the next time you're going to visit that location, you have that information set in your brain, and you're already perceiving the situation through that lens. But this learning is not optional for you. You cannot avoid learning from your environment. What is important is to forget what you have learned, and I call this unlearning. Learning is a great art, but unlearning is the best thing you can do, because we take it on the face value. Pick up anything that comes, anything that is given to you. You believe it because you trusted a person and they gave you certain information, and now you believe it. But later down the line, it is so valuable to unlearn certain things, because what it does to you, it just breaks your barrier. It puts you in a frame where you no longer have to serve someone else's belief. And when you're doing things like recording a video, making a podcast, writing an article, talking to someone, facing a challenge, presenting yourself, or conducting yourself in a situation, you're not completely your true, full potential self. You are limited by the boundaries that you set on yourself. So first of all, I think to be a wonderful global citizen who is strong enough to firstly sustain themselves and then to sustain other people, they have to have the belief in themselves, and the belief in their dreams, and the belief in their vision. So you might want to consider thinking about what you learned and why you're conducting a certain situation in a certain way, and what are the beliefs that you can unlearn and the practices that you can unlearn. You will find that you will be another person there altogether. And then fear. How many of you relate to fear? Not just getting scared at the dark night, but being very overly conscious. I got one hand. Yeah, okay, a couple of hands. Even I can raise mine, because everyone, due to the mind chatter, due to the conscious mind and the subconscious mind serving each other, there's always a mind chatter, and you'll see that the safety and the survival will always play a role. And respect and how you're perceived by others, those parameters come into play on petty things. And where fear takes over, and then you say no to taking certain actions, then you can very well conduct. So I think overcoming the fear is very important. And here I like to give you certain example from my practical life. There were projects that I took over because working and operating in multiple countries involved taking huge risks and making the decisions that had a lot of background chatter, not just from other people, but from my own subconscious brain that was struggling and surviving to keep me in a safe space. But it is just that, So I want to encourage all of you to dare yourself to overcome the fear. And just the other day, I was talking to a youngster, and then we were just having this chat around how can you, at a certain point, overcome that limiting belief or that fear that you're using to conduct your opportunities. So the difference between you and your accomplished self in any situation, so small goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals, is just that line of fear, is a bridge of fear. And there's always a beautiful story on the other side of the fear. And I'm sure some of you can relate to this situation, because every time you decided to pick on a challenge, sometimes it's students that come from abroad. You're leaving your family, you're coming to another country, you're going to live there, survive there, manage so many things. Is anyone from abroad here? Okay, so you relate to that little thing. But then there was a day you made that decision. Yes, I can do that. And you will notice for certain time there will be an uncomfortable space because you're out of your comfort zone. But the fear is not for real. It's just a method, a mechanism to keep you safe. And if you can evaluate how important it is to give power to this fear, you can very well get over this and move forward and achieve those goals that you set out for yourself. So I hope this will help you to just get into that podcast room and make your podcasts from there on. And then finally, another important tool is being outspoken. So at times you will see things that ring a bell somewhere in your system and you don't really align with it. You don't really believe that, that's the right thing. So for example, if I was in a queue, it's a very simple example. We see that every day, and then someone is just crossing me and then, just taking another. And then we decide, okay, let me be quiet because nobody said anything. Yeah, that's a regular one, because nobody says anything, that means I shouldn't say it. No, I think if you feel something and you align with it, so make sure that you talk about it. And I'm not saying to just spark an argument or get into a fight, but all I'm saying is there are procedures, there are practices, and after having seen so many, I would say, economies and businesses and people, I feel that there is an ever-going need for all of us to rewrite who we are, what we can be, and what other options life has to offer. So to conduct this, you have to voice yourself out, and you have to raise your hand, and you have to be there, be present, and speak out your mind. And at times, again, the fear will come back, and you will judge yourself even before you have vocalized this. I come from a background where I'd always been the first one to do many, many things. And I even hear that now, just as of yesterday, in one of the meetings, that you are the only one. Yeah, and that is up against, and you can imagine, up against the volume of opposition, not in terms of politics, but opposition in terms of mindset. There will always be people who are comfortable with the boxed mindset. And if you think that you are somebody who has the capacity, who has the potential, and you have that fire inside you that tells you things, I think important point is when you unlearn and you allow yourself to let this spark open up, flourish further, you have to listen to this. And not only that, you have to vocalize your mindset. You have to talk about the things that you don't agree to. So I think that was almost the last, but we still have a lot of time. So great. So let's create a dialogue now from your takeaway, and then I can expand on anything that inspired you, or any questions so far? Yes, please.
I was going to ask, how did you decide this is what you wanted to do?
Okay, so I had been very experimental with my life, and that's what I'm saying to you guys right now. That once you see an opportunity, or you have an inner calling to something, and you recognize that, I don't align with this certain subject, I choose to just go forward and stand on that line of fear and present myself to the world and talk about it. And believe me, that opened so many doors for me that I am in politics today because I've been vocalizing my mindset. I've been talking about things, being present there. And I think that changes the whole dynamic of what comes to you, because people have believed that the opportunity will find you, or you have to seek the opportunity. There are two ways of conducting life, practical life. One, you work very hard, you tire yourself, you burn out, you stress out, and you might find something that you can compromise with. The other way is to believe in what you feel you are and throw it out in the world and enjoy being yourself and enjoy the ride of life, because life isn't all that serious at the end of the day. I see some youngsters, because I speak to them often, they are struggling with the society's pressures. Those norms and those brackets at the age of this, you must have done that at the age of this. So I understand that all of you have the pressure to, kind of find that work that you're going to do, where you're going to live, that house or the car, or whatever you've decided for yourself, to pursue those things. How it can become easier is when you integrate that with your original self. And I feel another thing, it just reminds me of the authenticity, because at times, because of our environment, we lose touch with ourselves. So I'm here, and let's say the first day I was in the council, I see those people who had been there for 20 years, they're very mature, they're senior. And then there is this peer pressure that puts you in a certain mind frame that tells you to just conduct like everybody else. And gradually and slowly, you can lose touch with yourself. So the ideal way is to being authentic, being your true self, because you don't have to remember that. You don't have to pretend that. And it is very easy to be. And every person, I feel, like I said, every life is precious, and every soul and every mindset is just so unique and so beautiful, as authentic and as real as it can be. And once you conduct your journey with the authenticity and the power of yourself, and then celebrating your life and celebrating who you are, you might be within certain barriers right now, but then you will overcome them like natural process. You will not have to burn yourself or worry about it, because your mind will open doors for you and take you to those places where it will happen automatically. So when I stepped in the council for the first day, I had the similar pressure. But then I once again decided, and that was not the first time I was in an environment which was brand new for me. So, and then it worked. It worked because I think gradually everybody started to understand me and take me as I am. Any other question? So what do you find most valuable in what we've spoken about so far? Yes, please?
For me, it's especially, everything altogether, but especially when you mentioned the art of unlearning how to do things. Because in my experience for all my life, being very candid over here,
Yes.
I find myself very estranged from the rest of my culture, the rest of my family, because my culture is all about doing things a certain way. And since I was very young, I had a realization that that's not me, that's not who I am. Like, just because you've been taught something your whole life, just because like my parents' generation or my grandparents' generation has been taught to do something a certain way, doesn't mean that that's always the right way.
Exactly.
Maybe back then it was right, but times are changing and you need to learn how to change as well.
Agreed. Anyone else? Nobody else. Okay, so let's expand on exploring yourself and how you can have that power, that strength to dare the world. I wouldn't say dare the world in terms of arguments, once again, because you're all students. To stand against the typical tags that we are given by birth. So religious tags, social tags, gender tags, or any other tags that limits you, that keeps you in a certain mindset. I think they are baggages. And how I explain, because I also do partially some of the mind work. And I always use this example that we as human beings, when we are walking around in the life, it's like every time my mother told me, I should be doing this, wait. And my teacher told me, you should just stop in this class. Okay, wait. And I have certain accomplishments that I'm, pursuing. But then it's a weight of responsibility and analysis. And so imagine I'm walking with all these like 500 kilos with me every day. My life becomes very difficult. Breaking barriers is very important. Unleashing yourself is very important, because the struggle and to thrive, there's a difference, but there's not much of a gap. We struggle because we carry so much that doesn't even belong to us. And those tags are gifted to us. I feel this is discrimination in many ways when we waste our time and energy within those barriers. Yes, we respect the cultural values, but the culture should not define you. You should define yourself. And it's okay to comply and make other people happy, to submit to perhaps they're needed at times, but then that can't be completely who you are, because there's much more to a human being. I think even 20 years ago, it was okay to just copy and paste and replicate the generations. But in today's world, if you see the achievers, the people who have made difference, the people who evolved the technology, the people who have delivered something back to the world, they're all not typical people. They are not copy-paste. None of them is. Because they questioned, and then they tried, and maybe they failed. By the way, failure is a part of your journey. Never, and it's where the fear comes from, because half of the things we do today and we don't do today, again, because we analyze, what if I fail? Failure is a part of journey as good as like the right step and the left step. So if I chose not to take the step just because I will fail, put yourself out there to fail. Don't aim for like, I should succeed. You just throw yourself in any situation and say, okay, I am up for trying this, and perhaps I'll find failure. Because failure gives you the learning. You find 101 ways to not do this, and that's the 102nd way, or maybe at times 58th or 57th, or maybe second one when you pass. But then if you believe enough in something, I think the repetition and putting yourself out there and giving yourself that challenge and facing the fear and accepting failure is a part of the game. Right? Okay.
I was just thinking, I'm very interested when you spoke about unlearning and fear. And in my mind, I was going that, for unlearning to happen, first of all, we need to be understanding the limiting beliefs that are stopping us. Mm-hmm. So I was wondering, since you already engage with the youth so much, and we talk about mindfulness as well, mm-hmm. that we could do with some tips as to how we can recognize those limiting beliefs in the first place, because that's what's driving us.
Yes.
Into the fear territory. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, as you mentioned, there's others who are that's your resistance to be overcoming those fear. Right. But the first step is recognizing the limiting beliefs. I think we take a while, at least for me. I'm still understanding the limiting beliefs that are stopping me to reach my full potential. So I think if you could say a bit more about how you...
I'd love to. Yeah, because I also feel that to be useful to others, you have to be useful to you. And I was having a discussion with the head of legal, with a prominent company, and he was asking me to compromise on something, and I said, listen, if I can't love myself, I can't love anybody else. So first thing first, like I said, it's a journey, because you have a software, like I said in the beginning, that is uploaded by someone else. And you decided this is who you are, and you're okay with that. Some people confuse belief with faith. They are completely different things, because it's your operating system. You chose to put certain limits on yourself. Oh, I feel sleepy at this time. I can't run more than that. I can't
be Bill Gates, so
Yeah. You tell yourself, anything that you can't do, you put your limit outside. Nobody can put a limit on you unless you have accepted it. Because you bought into certain thoughts, and they're a part of you. So how we can unlearn? I mean, I usually have a journey for like 7 days or 7 different courses. But then first thing first, you have to be conscious of your thoughts are separate from who you are. So when you observe, like you said, you've had some barriers, and you don't have time for this. You're not even aware of these barriers perhaps until today. But if you look down upon your thoughts and just start to analyze your own thoughts, you will find that you are your own enemy in many ways. And that's where the unlearning or the screening or the filtering or the purification part will start to play. So the first thing is to know, if you're doing something, where is it coming from? Why am I doing this the way I'm doing it right now? And then why am I not doing this if I think There's a voice in your heart, and I always say that because people think brain is a very smart organ. It's your top management. You operate from here. It just gives you everything. But heart is, if I can say, 1,000 times more intelligent. We don't use our heart. We say, don't follow your heart. Don't be impulsive. Don't use your emotions. So emotions and heart is a separate thing, but emotions are the indicators of your true self. You will find that there are things you do that when you do them, like I'm hanging out with some of my friends or this particular board meeting, it just thrills me. I feel good. That emotion of being satisfied, being happy with what's happening, that's an indicator that I'm in the right space. And again, there is a philosophy, but that will go, diverted from the global citizenship where you separate the heart and the soul and the mind, and they're separate things. So if you start to just observe where this is coming from, I think that's the starting point. And then there are practices that let you cleanse. I think rebirth is a very important subject. We're all reborn literally every day. Every morning that you're awake, you're actually reborn. But then because you have all these luggage on you, you're compelled to go back and pushed into the same software because I'm here, I must do that. And there's a pressure associated. Imagine your life if you were thinking, oh, I love it. I like to go there again. I enjoy it so much, I want to give it my better self. You will see that your performance, your confidence, the fear factor, everything else that you don't need, that's not serving you, will wash away automatically. Just start paying attention, but then don't be in a very, I would say, how can we say that softly? We are slaves of our mindset, and we just serve we don't know who, and we just go on this grind. And life is not forever, so you have to decide now, because every 5 years or 10 years of your life, when you look back, you'll say, oh, and we were just talking about it at the beginning of this situation, this session, that time flies and it'll leave you. It's like a flowing river. It's just going to one side.
We still have time.
Okay, so it's going on the one side. So if you lose in the process just because of the ignorance, and it is ignorance when we don't come to terms with our true self, when we don't find who we are, when we don't care enough for who we are, and especially at an early age. I was blessed because I was given these indicators from one place or the other. And I'll say that, I accomplished a lot at a very early age. I was awarded to be the youngest female CEO from my country in Middle East. And how did that happen? I was at one point, managing above 5,000-6,000 people at a time. And I was in my 20s. And how did that happen? Because I think that story should tell you, my story, and again, I am in a new story every single day, every single month, is because I take on a lot of things. I don't judge myself. Yes, I judge my capacity to deliver at times in terms of timelines, because I only have 24 hours like everybody else. But then if you pick up on the challenges that are presented to you, you will find out your strengths. Connect to your strengths and let go of what's not serving you. So you will find a very cleansed, fresh, sparkling self. And then you will go back into that, pull of gravity of society, because you're supposed to match. But you guys don't have to match. You are in a perfect era of time and in perfect situations to be able to do anything you want and to be able to make that difference that is so much needed. Stop dreaming and start doing. That's one thing. But at the beginning, we need to reinvent the wheel, because if we leave it as it is, if not enough of us took actions, if we just submitted to the will of previous system, then we will grind this for another 100 years to come. But why should we do that? I think we should stand up for everybody's life, for the value of life, for the value of time, for what we can do, how we can contribute. So cleanse yourself. And how can you cleanse yourself? That is a question I get very often. Do you guys know how to cleanse your mind and energize your mind? How do you normally do that? Have you ever cleansed your mind? Anybody? Yes, please. Lovely. And you? Same thing. Music, okay. Hobbies? What's your hobby?
Depends. I used to write poetry.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Self-expression. That's important. So you're almost an artist. Self-expression, authenticity, these things are connected. So you first of all find yourself being who you are, what you're capable of, what you want to pursue, how you identify the gaps. What are the topics or situations that you feel for? And then when you start to pursue it, include authenticity, self-expression, and then this cleansing. So I would like to reconfirm that meditation is one of the best ways, and music is a part of, similar to meditation. Painting is similar to meditation. Poetry is similar to meditation.
I think wherever we can immerse ourselves. I think,
Exactly.
There's something interesting that you mentioned. Sorry if I'm just going in the way. But I'm thinking that you're saying cleanse the mind. So there's one thing of being aware of our thoughts and probably dropping the thoughts as we do in certain forms of meditation.
Right.
And then at the same time, I think that there is also the thing of the other end of the spectrum is questioning our beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way we can go to the next level as to why we are actually believing this, why do we believe ourselves to that way. And if you question down, you actually get down to the root cause about what is stopping you. So one thing is about being preoccupied with your thoughts, and the other is dropping the same thoughts when you are cleansing the process. So two different
So they both
that go together.
No, they both happen in different timings.
Yeah.
So there's a performance mode, and there's I would say recharge. Your mobile serves you all the time. You use all kind of applications all the time. So one of the applications that we just talked about in your system is to see your operating system, right? To identify with what is serving you, what you need to upload, which upgrades you need, what are the apps that you like to delete from your system. That's a continuous process, because you can't just sit in a quiet environment and think about these things. You will find these things when you're conducting life, when you're making any move, when you're meeting someone, when you're present in a certain situation, and you let's say I come to meet you, and I have a certain belief about you, and I'm perceiving you from that lens, and I know exactly why I'm thinking this. Let's say I'm not doing that. It's not me. Yeah, but we do that all the time. If I'm meeting someone, or sometimes, again, a very cute little girl I met last week, and she was telling me, I am very worried when somebody's talking to you, because I'm worried how I look, and I'm worried how I can confirm that I'm listening to them properly. And is a young student from maybe year 9, year 10, very young. So she just vocalized her mind. And there I realized how much energy we waste in these kind of practices. Why are we even bothered to just comply, or to someone's approval, or someone's, what they are thinking? How is that even relevant to your life? What is it going to do to your life? So if you get into these dialogues, when little things happen, I'm meeting someone and I'm identifying them with a tag, mostly gender tags. Yeah, I am very big on canceling race, religion, faith, whatever, but then mostly the gender tag. And we all have that. There's only two of us. There's male and a female. That's it. So why do we have to discriminate? Every time you're approaching a man and he's doing certain things, and in politics they tell me, okay, because you're a female, so the females are more comfortable with you and they can speak to you. But why does a female need a female to speak to? Female can speak to a male as equally as she can speak to a female, because we are not in that time where they have to be separated. But then if I'm going and there is a, let's say, police officer, and it's a male police officer, a female police officer, I'll perceive things differently. This is happening at the back of my mind. And then I'm talking about those moments when you walk in with a certain belief and you conduct something. That's the time when you question, why am I doing this? Can I go without it? Is it serving me? Is it serving them? If it's not serving anybody, there's no need for it. And that's when you say, out of the way. That's the belief that I don't have to have. So you will find out that there's so many beliefs that we carry with ourselves that serve nobody. And then that's in your busy moments. So you go to, I don't know, do this or do that. You just keep observing. So that's your conscious brain actively overlooking your own self, like your guardian. So instead of having that negative chatter, you will have the cleansing chatter within yourself. And you'll find in certain times the baggage will be less. People get tired very often. Who gets tired easily in this room? Okay, that's a very good indicator. Yeah, a lot of people I meet, they get, I get tired very easily because you are overrunning the engine. This is, let's say, 400 horsepower. You're running it on a 4,000 horsepower. It is not serving you. You haven't seen an impact it has made. It will make you tired. So maybe that's the time, that's an indicator. And I always check with people, it's like, do you get tired easily? If you get tired easily, that means you're consuming your time, your thoughts, your mind with the stuff that is not for you to mind. That is the stuff that you're just by default operating with. So those are the active times. And then there are inactive times. And please dedicate, the ones who do the music and the meditations good, continue doing it. Do it at least twice a day. Give yourself silent moments. And those moments, and by the way, crying is perceived as a negative activity. I perceive crying as a cleansing activity. Come to terms with your emotions. Don't avoid them. Face them. Embrace them. They're a part of you. Until and unless a coal goes through a certain pressure and a temperature, you won't get a diamond. So that's a part of your growth. You should celebrate the hurt, because we consume a lot of time dwelling on the past and then dwelling on the future, but avoid the present moment. And meditation or indulging yourself in any activity, what it does, it brings your mind to the present moment. And that's where you want the cleansing to happen. And if needed, just cry it out. It'll cleanse you. And if you're not at that emotional, parameter, then maybe you're at a healthy side. And that's when you start to connect with your own vitality, your own life force. We're all alive because we have a life force. The difference between me dead and me alive is just because I have a life force. I can think, I can talk, I can walk. My entire body works on automation. I do nothing. And it works, it serves me. So when you have that, I think there's a need to celebrate this every single day. And particularly, I think one of the very important moments of your life before you go to bed. So we're very busy trying to avoid sleep, especially the youngsters, even me, even a lot of other people. So you're busy and engaged up to the last moment. I think before you go to bed, it's best that you drop out everything and then you get into that neutral moment where you can upload more. So, and then you will see the difference, because when you get into sleep, whatever mindset you take there, so if I'm thinking about a challenge or a problem or a pain or a suffering or comparison or jealousy, anything that is negative. So what it does is you're charging your phone with that energy for the entirety of the night. And then you cannot rejuvenate and wake up next morning feeling fresh and good, because you'd been exhausted with those negative thoughts. We should feel, and when I say love, I don't mean just that one kind of love. Love for life, love for humanity, love for who you are, love towards the society, towards the earth, towards anybody that you come across, being having empathy to other people. If you indulge into love side of emotions, which is sincerity, purity, care, and all that. That is love to me. So if you indulge in this, automatically your brain and your mind will go towards the softer side of things. So maybe you think about your pet or something that you like, or something that you love doing, maybe music, and then you go into sleep. I think that's a natural cleansing method that serves us every day. So you will say it's like a global citizen, a politician, a sitting counselor talking about this positivity and negativity. And I think those are the basics of accomplished life. At times I'm asked how, I've multiple chapters, one after another. And I was telling you that day that, I'm here and then I'm in another place, and there are diverse communication and there are diverse commitments, and the power that you need is much more than, you need when you're on a receiving side, because on the giving side, you have to think, plan, deliver, make sure it's right, make sure you do it again. Kind of thing. So they say, how come you don't get tired? It's because it motivates me. I love doing it. And there is a difference when you do something out of compulsion. And if you're in a situation where you don't yet love it, maybe you start loving it. Start noticing the things that you can love about it, because there's always a good aspect. And that will change how you achieve your goals. And it'll be very nice and smooth and easy, hopefully. Any other thoughts from...
Questions before we finish the session today? So you would be interested in going home and exploring your limited needs? What's holding you down?
Yeah, so...
Some of you are already doing it.
Yeah.
Tried it?
There's one person I saw. But anyway, the take home before we go is, I hope this inspired you enough, and I kept it as simple as possible, not to talk about my fancy accomplishment and not to bore you with so many heavy-duty things. All I was trying to say all this time, was you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it too. So stop dreaming, believe in yourself, go out there and chase your dream. Questions we've crossed. And now I am also offering any of you who's inspired today, and you think there is a subject close to your heart and you think you can pursue it. You think you like to do a podcast around it, or make a video around it, write a blog around it, and you need help. You want to integrate with authorities. You want a solution. You want a platform. Anything that is, okay? I am Anila Javed. That's my handler on the Facebook. You can use this, reach out to me. If you find someone who needs that, you can also connect them to me. I don't promise to reply the same day, but I reply to everyone. So you guys can give me the reference from this lesson today. And it is lovely meeting you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for coming today. One round of applause for Anila. Thank you so much.
I hope it was useful, though. How many of you agree that it was useful?